Anyone who spent a significant amount of time around very smart people can tell you that just because someone is a genius doesn't mean they aren't insufferable. Today we're going to explore how a book with amazing writing, great characters, fantastic world building, and a great plot can still be utterly unreadable. Hello everyone, welcome to the Book Cafe. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and if you're a veteran, you know what we do. Today, we're going to be reviewing China Miéville's Perdido Street Station. I have no idea how the author's name is pronounced. I'm just spitballing that. It's the first in the New Crobusson series. And at first glance, there's a lot that this novel has going for it. It is extremely innovative. It blends fantasy and science fiction in ways that you normally don't see outside of steampunk, but it's not steampunk. The characters actually use the scientific method for how they deal with magic and how they deal with the strangeness of their world. And you get the sense that this is the world that people are used to, even if they don't really understand it. The writing is fun and funny, if a bit overblown. I'm not usually someone who says that big words are a problem, but this author has a tendency to use $10 words when he really should be using 3. One review online noted that he uses the word bituminous on pretty much every page. If you overlook the vocabulary issue, the writing is intense, evocative, descriptive. You do get very good images. While there's plot and characters, the book is mostly about the city of New Crobusson. Imagine Detroit from the first RoboCop movie, except it's full of wizards. It's run down, it is a hellhole, it is somehow the center of commerce and culture for the entire world. So maybe more like New York in the 70s. And the city is overall a vaguely anarchic mess, to the point where they have a representative from hell on the city council. There's poverty, pollution, civil unrest, racism and bigotry, except the racism, given that half the people in the city have animal heads, gets a bit more heated. Looking at a fantasy world that's just past the Industrial Revolution, and the world building for New Crobusson is magnificent. The main character is a scientist named Isaac, who subscribes to a particularly strange and derided theory of reality, and has more or less destroyed his reputation following it. He's visited by a Garuda, which is a kind of bird person, who had his wings taken away for some horrific crime. And the Garuda wants his wings back, and he thinks that Isaac is the only person who can help him. From there, the plot gets very strange, including butterflies that eat dreams, and in doing so, eat alternate dimensions. These creatures even hell is terrified of. It has interspecies relationships, culture clash. Overall, it's an extremely well put together book. The characters are interesting, but they are difficult to like. And this is where the main problem starts to come in. Right? Because as I mentioned in the cold open, this book is a work of genius, and every part of it taken individually is incredible. But put together, it's kind of insufferable, and it's very difficult to read. Or rather, it's not difficult to read, it's difficult to stay invested in. The book really drags on. I spent months trying to read it, and did not make as much progress as I would have liked. Honestly, it took me less time to read The Fountainhead, which is famously difficult to get through. I'm not completely certain what it is about this book that makes it so difficult. Maybe it's that it's really hard to get invested in the characters because they're kind of annoying and easy to dislike. Maybe it's the unrelenting misery that comes with life in New Crobusson. Overall, I found Perdido Street Station extremely difficult to get through. It's the kind of thing that fantasy snobs would say, oh, this is so good, you have to read it. But it's far from enjoyable. So while it is a work of genius and a work of art and a work of quality, personally, I can't really recommend it. I rate this at borrow it. It's worth at least reading a few chapters, but honestly, it's very difficult to finish the book, and it's probably not worth it. Now, I know this is kind of a controversial opinion, so if you've read Perdido Street Station, and if you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to show it by clicking on the like button. Click here on the dragon to subscribe, and here for more videos like this from the Book Cafe. As I mentioned, we're going to be updating with our next video on Sunday, so until then, read good fantasy.